Hey, I'm YogiDonaldo, your octogenarian yogi. In these videos, I'll share what I've learned over the years about yoga's ethics, its philosophy, its poses, its breath work, and meditation. YogiDonaldo's YouTube channel is presented by Don English. Here's what you'll need for this video. People, including this instructor, have been injured doing yoga. As we age, recovery from injury takes longer and means time away from our practice. Consult with your doctor and work within your abilities. Please pause and copy the lesson plan at the end of the video. Now let's get started. May we be protected together, may we be nourished together, may we create strength together, may our work together bring spiritual awakening, and may there be no disharmony among us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Sitting tall, a nice comfortable cross-leg position, shoulders back. Allow your chin to come in toward the chest. And on an inhale, roll up on the right side, circling around to the back, exhaling down on the left. And reversing, inhaling up left and down on the right. And back to center. And then tilting the head to the right. Right hand on the head, left shoulder drops down, stretching out the left side of the neck, and then switch sides. And back to center. Rotating the head to the right, try and keep the head and eyes level, and look as far to the right as you can. Inhale back to center, and exhale to the other side. And back to center. And reach the arms out to the sides, float them out to shoulder height, palms up, reach up, stretch up through the shoulders. Lengthening, reaching, stretching up. Interlacing the fingers, flip the palms up, and then continue pressing up through the inverted palms. Stretch through the shoulders. And release, arms out to the sides, palms up. Exhale, fingertips to shoulders. Inhaling, elbows back. Exhaling, elbows together in the front. Again, move with your breath. And holding the elbows together, inhale, close, open the arms out to the front and rotate the arms. Exhaling out, inhaling, palms up. And then eagle arms, crossing the right arm over the left, fold the arms and palms toward each other, lifting the elbows and moving the forearms from the face. And switch, other side. And release. Little shoulder wiggles. And then again, arms out to the sides for a seated side bend. First to the right. Try and keep the sitting bones grounded. And if you'd like, look up through the arm. Try and keep the shoulder and arm back. And release to the other side. And back to center. Now grounding the knees, folded blanket under the knees if you need, fold forward. Try and keep the back in neutral, try not to round the back. Use a support to rest your head. And maybe if you feel one side bone's not quite grounded, you might want to shift your weight around to help ground that hip. And as your body releases, you can lower the support, coming a little deeper. And when we're ready, coming back to center. And switch sides. My one knee is a little, or hip is a little tight, so I need to put a little support underneath the knee. As I begin to hinge forward, I reach a certain point and I can feel that that knee can come down to the mat now, and so I remove that support. Again, supporting my head. That helps to keep tension out of the low back. And as I loosen up, I come a little deeper. And again, shifting my weight to help ground the hip that's trying to come up off the mat. And back up. Back to center. Setting the props aside for a moment. We're going to do a little counter twist here. Counter that forward fold that we just did. First looking off to the right. And then other side. Keep the spine neutral, the head balanced. And back to center. And next we'll extend one leg out, then the other, for a seated forward fold. As we come forward, hands on the legs to support, keep the back in neutral, coming as deeply into the pose as your body allows. I'm not pulling myself down, I just have my hands on my feet here. If your body doesn't naturally go into a pose, don't force it, don't push. With time and effort, your body will loosen up and you'll naturally come deeper into the pose. And back to sitting. We'll turn sideways on the mat. Head to knee pose. Bringing the one foot in against the inner thigh, the other extended leg. Fold forward over that extended leg. And a little prop here to support the back. Adjusting the prop. As I get more comfortable in the pose, I move around slightly to adjust, to allow myself to come a little deeper. And back up. And switch sides. Extend the bent knee and bring the extended leg in, foot against the other thigh. Stretch up and fold forward. Keep adjusting the support for the head. My one foot wants to roll out, so I try and keep it with the toes pointing upward. And back up on an inhale. Setting the blocks aside. Extending both legs. Again, a seated forward fold. Hinging the hips. Allowing the body to come down as close to extended legs as possible. Try not to round the low back. And again, try not to force it. I have my hands on my feet, but I'm really not pulling. And when you're ready, back up. Little seated back bend as a counter pose to the forward fold. Releasing, and again folding forward. And back to staff pose. Turning on the mat, placing heels on the mat, spreading my feet as wide apart as possible. I like to have my heels grounded on the mat for a little cushioning. And then hands behind my back to scoot my body forward, keeping the heels grounded as I do. And stretching up. And hinge at the hips. Again, try and keep the legs active, feet active, toes pointing up toward the sky. And then lower your body down as before, keeping the low back from rounding and using support of some sort block to support the head so that you can allow your back to relax. Try and be as relaxed in the pose as possible. Comfort and ease in the pose, that's what we're looking for in all the poses that we do. Try and relax into the pose, allowing your body to come as deeply as it can, as deeply as it was ready to come. And hinge back up. Click the hands back behind the back, a little seated back bend again, a little counter pose. We'll set the block aside. Knees into the chest, gentle little knee hug. And then bring the nose down toward the knees. Release. And now let's come to table for the cat series. Exhaling cat stretch. Inhale cat lift. Exhale cat stretch. Move with your breath. And C-stretch, looking around the shoulder toward the foot, back to center, and then exhale to the other side, looking around at the opposite heel. Back to center. And moving into downward facing dog. Tuck the toes. Lift the hips, press the chest and shoulders back toward the feet. Work to flatten the back, creating a straight line from the tailbone through the shoulders down the arms. Let the head just hang, dangle off of the neck. Knees can be bent. And as you begin to stretch out, your knees will become straighter and straighter. The heels will come closer and closer to the mat. Try not to push that part. Work on the chest, back, shoulders, and arms first. From down dog, we'll move to yoga push-ups. First a plank, lower, inhale up to cobra, and exhale back to down dog. Down dog, plank, lower, cobra, and down dog. Try and keep the elbows in toward the ribs. And holding down dog for a moment. Back to plank, lower, cobra, down dog. And now, fire hydrant version of down dog. Float one leg out parallel to the floor. Try and keep the hips level. Then raise that leg as high as you can. Rotate the foot and leg outward. Flex the knee. Rotate the hip toward the sky. And look underneath that arm. Come out. And other side. Leg parallel to the floor. Keep the hips level. Rotate the hip toward the sky. Then flex the knee. And look out underneath that arm. And back to down dog. On the toes, bend the knees, table, and child's pose. Forward toward the mat. Arms alongside the body if you choose. It can be extended out in front if you'd like. Child's pose is a resting pose. Come into it anytime you need. Come back when you're ready. And extending the arms to extended child's pose through table, tucking the toes, down dog. And next, moving into pyramid pose, straight-legged runner stretch. Step one leg forward, cock the other foot sort of at a 45-degree angle to the other foot, and fold forward over that straight leg. And stepping back to down dog. Step the other foot forward. Straighten the leg. Forward fold. Try and keep the hips square to the mat. When we're ready, prepare to come out. Step back to down dog. And now moving into warrior one. Step foot forward. Come up, angling the back foot 45 degrees. Square the hips to the mat. Hands can be on the hips or up overhead, goalpost fashion. In any case, try and bring your body into a bit of a back bend. And then deepen the knee bend. And switch sides. Adjust the feet, the hips, deepen the knee. Hands on the hips or up overhead. And straightening the knee. Come back to center. Still feet wide apart. Standing wide angle. Forward fold with the feet wide apart. Neutral spine, hands on the mat. And you may not come as deeply as I'm coming here, but find where you need to be, where you can keep your back from rounding. Still reach the hands to the floor. And if the hands don't come to the floor, let them rest on the legs. The back needs some support. So either on the hands or the legs. And when we're ready, walk the feet in together. And back to mountain pose. Again, stepping the feet wide apart, this time for warrior two. And we're going to move from warrior two. This time the body is facing the side of the mat. We look out over the arm extended over the bent knee and turn the head to look over the fingertips of that hand. Nice deep knee bend. And moving into the side angle, bringing that forearm to the knee and the other arm overhead. So we're creating a diagonal line through the arm, torso, and leg. If we'd like, we can turn the head to look up through the arm. And then maybe reach the hand around behind the back. Hand reaching for the thigh. Gaze is upward. Release. Coming up. Shift sides. Turn the feet. First coming into warrior two. Arms float out over the legs. Bend the knee. Back foot, the toes are pointed directly toward the long edge of the mat. The other foot is pointed toward the short end of the mat. Arms over the legs, head turns to look out over the fingertips of the hand over the bent knee. Side angle, forearm to the knee or thigh, other arm overhead, creating that diagonal line. Fingertip, arm, torso, hip, leg. And reaching around behind, hand reaches for the opposite thigh, and your hand may not reach there. Wherever it reaches is fine. You can even skip this part. The important thing is to keep the shoulder back. Bring that arm around. A sweep of the arm helps to bring us up. Turn the toes toward the side of the mat for standing wide angle again. Forward fold, neutral spine, hinge at the hips, support the body. On the legs, hands on the legs or the mat. When we're ready, bring the feet together. Soften the knees. And come to standing. Little back bend here, counterpose to what we've been doing with the spine. And back to center. Back to mountain. Triangle next. Again, we'll step the feet wide apart. Toes of the back foot point toward the side of the mat, long edge, others toward the short end. Reach over the leg, keep the body back. This is a side bend. Drop the one hand down to the leg and reach the other arm straight up overhead so that the arms are creating a straight vertical line. Support your body with the hand on the leg. I'm reaching behind my leg for the mat. You may not do that. Your hand may still stay on the leg. That's fine. That's where it needs to be. And sweep that top arm around. Circular motion helps to bring you up. We'll turn the feet for the other side. Remember, triangle, both legs are straight. Arms over the legs. Reaching over that straight leg. Arms stay roughly parallel to the floor. Windmill the arms when you feel that stretch in the inner thigh of the front leg. And then reach up overhead and down toward the leg or mat. If you can reach that far, you may not, and that's okay. In time. Look straight ahead or up toward the hand. Circle the arm and come back up. Turn the feet. Walk them in. And prepare for relaxation. Coming onto the mat again. Coming onto my back with the strap, I'm going to come into bound angle pose, reclining bound angle pose. Soles of the feet come together, and I can hold the feet together with my hands. I'm going to use the strap, placing the strap around the balls, around the feet, keeping the soles of the feet together, and then bring the feet to the mat and let the legs relax, knees pressing toward the mat. Try and keep those legs as relaxed as possible. Remember, muscles that are tensed aren't stretching. And coming out, set the strap aside. We're going to come to a bridge pose next. I'm reaching my hands down toward the heels. And then lift the hips, roll the shoulders underneath the back. Clasp the hands together, press the arms toward the mat to help lift the hips as high as possible. and hold as long as is comfortable. I'm looking for my block, and we're going to come into a supported version, a passive bridge pose. I have the block underneath the bony part of my pelvis, not in the small of the back, but under the bony part of the pelvis, and I can just relax onto that block, using almost no muscular tension to stay in the pose. And when we're ready, coming out, setting the block aside. Little knee hug, counterpose the bridge pose, and happy baby. Hands grasp the instep, press the knees toward the mat. And if you'd like, you can rock side to side. Extend the legs straight up, and then slowly bring the legs down about 3/4 of the way down. Hold. Then about halfway, and again hold. I'm holding for about 3 breaths. One quarter, 3 breaths. And all the way down. A brief relaxation. And then reclining hand to toe pose. We'll use the strap for this. Placing the strap around the ball of the foot, keep the other leg extended and active. Extend that leg up overhead, straight knee, and draw that foot and leg toward the body, keeping the knee straight. This is the safest way to work to stretch the hamstrings, because there's no pressure in the low back, not like when you're sitting trying to do a forward bend. Take the strap in the right hand, open that right leg out to the side, head turns to the left to look out toward the left fingertips. Try and guide that foot to the floor so the toes touch the floor and the left buttock stays on the mat. If you need to let out on the strap, do so. Then when the toes finally get to the floor, you can begin to draw the strap up to bring the leg a little higher, a little closer to the face. Leg back to center, strap in the other hand, good solid grip as we guide that leg across, coming into a little bit of a twist here. Head looks the other direction. My right arm is extended and my eyes are looking out over that right hand. Again, I'm guiding the foot to the floor. Let out on the strap if you need, so that you keep the right shoulder on the mat and bring the foot to the mat. And your foot may not be as high as mine. It may only be halfway up. Wherever it is where it needs to be. Back to center, both hands on the strap, draw the straight leg toward the body, and then keeping the leg straight, roll head, shoulders, and back to the mat, nose toward the knee. Release and lower the leg. Other leg, knee to the chest. Strap around the ball of the foot, extend the leg to straight. Both hands on the strap, draw that straight leg toward the body, keep the other leg active, pressing into the mat. Take the strap in the left hand, right arm shoulder height, palm up. Exhale, leg to the floor, eyes look to the right hand. Keep the right buttocks on the mat, keep the right leg extended and active. Guide the left toes to the mat or floor. And then back to center. Change hands and draw that left leg across to the right side of the body, guiding the toes toward the mat. Keep the left shoulder on the mat. Let out on the strap if you need to keep the foot on the floor and the shoulder on the floor. Back to center. Again, both hands on the strap, draw the straight leg toward the body. Roll head, shoulders, and back from the mat, nose toward the knee. Release, and slowly lower that leg back to the mat. And a corpse pose. And you can end the practice here. I'm going to go ahead into a headstand, and you can just watch this headstand. It's not for everyone. And I'll do more on the headstand, I think, in the next chapter. So we'll begin coming up to sitting, rolling out. And I'm going to use my headstand stool for this. Special stool that's made just for this. Helps me to keep my head off the floor and the pressure out of my neck because I do have some cervical spine issues. So we take the insert out, place the stool. My head goes in the slot, walk my feet in toward my body. Feet come up off the mat, and my knees rest on my elbows. All the pressure is in my shoulders and hands. I'm going to hold it here for a few breaths. And then I'll flex my knees, bring my knees in toward my butt, and then begin rotating my knees up toward the sky, first keeping my knees flexed. When I feel comfortable, I'll extend my legs, open my knees, and extending the legs straight up, toes pointing upward. As I said, all my weight is in my shoulders and arms. My head is completely off the mat. I hold as long as I'm feeling comfortable. I think this was maybe 20 breaths. And then folding the hips and knees coming back to the elbows, resting briefly here. Before bringing my feet back to the mat and coming out. And after the headstand, I rest for a few breaths, allowing my body to restabilize. And then coming back to easy sitting pose, set the mat or the headstool aside. And in the next video, we'll go into the headstand a little more completely. If you're interested in doing the headstand with me, there's plenty of opportunity to order one and have it arrive in time for the next one. Check in the descriptions below where you'll find some information on websites that offer various headstand stools. May our bodies be strong, relaxed, and healthy. May our minds be calm, clear, and serene. May our hearts be filled with loving kindness, and may we live our lives in harmony with our true inner selves. May we be friendly toward the joyful, compassionate toward the suffering. May we celebrate the good in others and remain impartial to their faults and imperfections. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Pause, take a screenshot, and print for your later use. I hope you'll subscribe and share these videos.